Good evening once again. Day 1174 of this Trump administration. 210 days to go until our presidential election. And the president made clear today voting by mail, in his view, is dangerous, terrible, and corrupt. And he last voted by mail in 2018, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. We'll have more on that later. About today's White House briefing, the president said all of that stuff he was saying a few weeks back about coronavirus. The cases will go to zero. It will disappear. We're totally prepared. Democratic hoax, comparing it to the flu, saying in the warmth of April it will miraculously go away. All of that was because he regards himself as a cheerleader for our country. Today, about his team, he said, we've done a great job, not a good job, but a great job. He said today, maybe we are getting to the top of the curve. He also kind of claimed credit for curing a woman of the coronavirus. He said she's a Democrat, African-American with a beautiful manner of speaking. She appeared on Fox News last night to say she took the hydrochloroquine on the president's recommendation, and it was like a miracle. He didn't stop there on that front. He is selling hydrochloroquine hard. He said it again today. I say try it. You're not going to die from this pill. The side effects, he said, are from the antibiotic, the Zithromax Z-Pack. He repeated, I really think it's a great thing to try. Today, the president went after the World Health Organization. And to be clear, this is a Fox News hobby horse, even though on February 10th, he said they were doing a fantastic job. The thought here is to blame the WHO for downplaying the risk from China. It also lets the president continue to say, largely unchallenged, that he closed our borders to China, even though about 400,000 people continued to fly here, and that he closed our borders to Europe, which was never true. Back here in the real world, New York City reached peak hellscape today, averaging 1 death every 2 minutes, over 800 new deaths, over 5,800 new cases just today. Nationwide, the death toll is pushing 13,000. There are some encouraging signs. China has ended its lockdown of Wuhan, the city where the virus that has shaken the planet was first discovered. For the people there, it means daylight after 76 days inside, and the slow push to get life back to normal starting tomorrow their time. The rest of the world is still grappling with the pandemic. More than 1.4 million people are infected across the globe. Tonight, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson remains in intensive care. His government says he has not been put on a ventilator. At the White House, the president seemed to be trying to prepare the country for increasingly difficult days to come.
This will be a very painful week. And next week, at least part of next week, there's a monster we're fighting. But signs are that our strategy is totally working. We're looking to have far fewer deaths than originally thought, and I think we're heading in that direction.
The president also said he was concerned about the number of African Americans who are now dying from COVID-19, saying he didn't like it. New York and New Jersey both reported their highest one-day toll in virus-related deaths today. But New York's governor also found reason for optimism.
Total number of newly hospitalized is up from yesterday. But when you look at the 3-day averaging of these numbers, the 3-day average is down, which is good news. We are reaching a plateau in the total number of hospitalizations, and you can see the growth, and you see it starting to flatten. Again, this is a projection. It still depends on what we do, and what we do will affect those numbers.
Across the river on the Jersey side, New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy extended that state's public health emergency by 30 days, closing state parks, keeping schools shuttered in an effort to further social distancing, something he says seems to be working. Officials in 2 other hotspots, Louisiana and Detroit, say they're also beginning to see the impact of keeping people off the streets.
We're seeing early signs that the mitigation efforts are starting to pay off. We are seeing early signs that the curve is starting to flatten.
This is the first glimmer of light we have seen from the data since this pandemic started. The storm's not over, but for the first time, we can see we can beat this.
Even Disney is looking ahead, saying theme park visitors may encounter temperature checks on that day when the parks reopen. Meanwhile, there are more questions about what the president knew in the early days of this pandemic. Today, he was asked about the New York Times report. We talked about it on our broadcast last night on memos written by his then trade advisor, Peter Navarro, back in January, warning about, almost predicting, the potentially devastating impact of the coronavirus.
When did you see them, and how does these memos sort of square with what you've often said that nobody could have predicted this? It sounds like he was predicting.
I didn't see him, but I heard he wrote some memos talking about pandemic. I didn't see him. I didn't look for him either. I asked him about it just a little while ago because I read something about a memo. I said, "Did you do a memo?" I didn't see it. He said, "Yes, I talked about the possibility of a pandemic." Nobody said it's going to happen, but, you know, there is a possibility. There always has been a possibility. And I obviously was concerned about it because I closed down our country to China, which was heavily infected. I then closed it down to Europe. But I'm not going to go out and start screaming, this could happen, this could happen. So, again, as president, I think a president has to be a cheerleader for their country.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.